On my 39th birthday, the restaurant set a table for 8. 8 white plates, 8 wine glasses, already polished and shining, 8 neatly folded napkins like little fabric pyramids, and one idiot. Me. I sat at the head of the table, staring at the empty chairs like they were part of some cruel art installation. The room smelled like garlic, butter, and expensive wine. Soft jazz played in the background. Other people laughed, clinked glasses, took photos. I kept checking the door. Any moment now, I told myself. Any moment, they'll walk in. My wife, our 2 daughters, my sister, my best friend, and maybe even my father-in-law if he decided to grace us with his presence, as he liked to say. The hostess had set out 2 kids' menus with crayons and little cups with lids. When I checked in and said it was my birthday, she'd smiled and said, "That's wonderful. Big celebration tonight?" "Yeah," I'd replied. "Family." Now she kept glancing at me from the host stand with that mix of politeness and pity you give someone whose party guests obviously aren't coming. I straightened my shirt collar and tried to sit up a little taller, like my posture could hide the fact that I was alone. My phone lay face up next to my plate, no new messages. I picked it up anyway, even though I'd already checked it about 12 times in 15 minutes. Nothing. No, "We're running late." No, "Parking is crazy. Be there soon." Nothing at all. I took a slow breath and reminded myself of the one thing that kept this from breaking me completely. I wasn't surprised. Not really. They thought I still didn't know about the affair. They thought I was still the clueless husband, waiting like a faithful Labrador, confused, a little hurt, but ultimately obedient. They had no idea I'd been watching them all year. If you looked at my marriage from the outside a year ago, you'd probably have said we were fine. We had a nice house, 2 smart daughters, decent jobs, holiday photos on social media, where we smiled in front of beaches and Christmas trees. People don't like to look deeper than the picture. Inside the picture, though, things had started to crack. It began with small things. My wife, Lisa, suddenly started working late more often. At first, it was once a week. "I've got to stay and finish reports," she'd say, kissing my cheek as she grabbed her laptop bag. "Don't wait up." Then it was twice a week. Then it was all-day Saturday trainings and networking dinners that somehow never included spouses. I work in IT. I know what flexible hours look like. I also know that no one needs that many strategy sessions in hotel bars. At the same time, my best friend Mark started acting strange. We'd known each other since high school. He'd been my best man at our wedding. We used to grab a beer once a week, vent about work, talk about football, complain about getting older. Then suddenly, he was busy. "Can't tonight, man. Something came up." "Next week, I promise." "Sorry, dude, I'm exhausted." "Rain check?" His texts got shorter. His replies took longer. He stopped sending dumb memes. When I phoned, he sounded like he was talking to his boss, not his friend. My sister Megan lived about 45 minutes away. We used to talk a lot too. She started acting weird as well. Evasive, careful. I'd say, "Lisa's been working late a lot," and she'd say, "Oh? Well, that's good, right? She's ambitious." And then change the subject like the topic burned her fingers. The first time I let myself think, they're hiding something from me. I actually laughed out loud alone in my car. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid husband, the conspiracy theorist, but the feeling wouldn't leave. So I did what I do best. I collected data, not dramatic snooping, no breaking into phones or hiring private investigators, just paying attention. Who texted her late at night, when her phone suddenly stayed face down, where her location history said she'd been when she said she was at the office. I'd never cared about our family phone plan details before. Now I studied the bill like a crime scene. There was one number that kept popping up, a work friend, a guy from her company she'd mentioned once in passing. "Just a colleague," she'd said, waving a hand. "He's in marketing, annoying but funny." His number was everywhere: calls, texts, late-night messages. Meanwhile, there were fewer and fewer calls to me. I started noticing recurring addresses in her location history too. Not just the office, not just the downtown hotel where they occasionally had conferences. A house, same street name, same number, over and over. The address meant nothing to me at first. Later, I'd learn it by heart. About 6 months before my 39th birthday, I was putting our younger daughter, Emma, to bed when she said something that made the hair on my arms stand up. She was 8, old enough to understand more than you think, young enough to still say things adults try to hide. "Daddy," she whispered as I tucked her in. "Are you mad at Mommy?" I blinked. "No," I said slowly. "Why do you ask that?" "She said you're stressed," Emma replied, frowning as she searched for the right words. "She said we have to be patient with you, because you're, what was it, emotionally distant." I swallowed. "Did she?" I asked, forcing my voice to stay calm. Emma nodded. "She told Lily that too," she added, referring to her older sister. "And she said that if you shout, it's not our fault. It's just because you're sad." She wasn't accusing me. She was just repeating information that made my chest feel like it was filled with ice. "I'm not mad at you," I said. "Or your sister. Do you feel like I shout a lot?" She shook her head. "Not really," she said. "You just get quiet, and Mommy says that's worse." I sat on the edge of her bed for a long time after she fell asleep, watching her little chest rise and fall. Lisa wasn't just lying to me. She was preparing the kids, preparing them for some story where she was the reasonable one and I was the unstable one. From that moment, something shifted in me. Up until then, part of me had hoped I was wrong, that I'd find some innocent explanation and feel stupid but relieved. After that night, I understood I was in a much bigger game. It wasn't just about sex. It was about control, narrative, money. And I had to stop being passive, or they'd rewrite my whole life without me. I still remember the moment the switch flipped from suspicion to certainty. It happened on a Thursday. Lisa said she had a late client meeting and wouldn't be home until 11. The girls were at her parents' place for a sleepover. They loved it there. Big house, big TV, grandparents who never said no to dessert. I was alone in our kitchen, microwaving leftovers, when my phone buzzed on the counter. A notification from our shared cloud account. New photo added, img2943.jpg. I frowned. The girls had an old iPad that was still tied to that account. They used it to take pictures of the dog, silly faces, random things. I opened the photo. It wasn't the dog. It was Lisa. On a couch I didn't recognize, wearing a dress I'd never seen, a wine glass in her hand. Mark was sitting next to her, my best friend, his arm around her shoulders. They weren't kissing. They didn't have to. The body language said everything. Relaxed, comfortable, familiar. Someone else had taken the picture. You could tell from the angle. I stared at it, my appetite evaporating. My brain started doing its usual thing. Maybe it's from some old party, maybe... Then I looked at the timestamp. Taken 5 minutes ago. My kitchen felt like it was tilting. My thumb hovered over the screen. I went to the location data. It showed the same address I'd seen in Lisa's history. That house. The one she'd been near so many times. The one I'd never been invited to. I knew then. It wasn't just a random affair with some stranger. It was my wife, my best friend, and, from the way my phone buzzed a moment later, probably my own sister too. Megan posted an Instagram story. I didn't follow her obsessively, but that night, I happened to see the circle light up. I tapped it. There they all were. Lisa, Mark, Megan, a couple of Lisa's co-workers I recognized from company BBQs. In the background, I saw my daughters, Lily and Emma, laughing in someone else's living room. The caption read, Family night. Sometimes you gotta choose your real happiness. No tag for me. No mention of my birthday coming up in a few weeks. No sign that I existed at all. I realized something bitterly funny. They'd built a whole parallel life. Same people, same family, minus one inconvenient husband. Me. I didn't scream. I didn't call. I didn't drive there and make a scene. I did something worse. I took screenshots. I saved the location, the time, the faces, and I decided to wait. I'd confront them. But not yet. Not when they could spin it, cry, gaslight, say, it was just a one-time thing with Mark, or you're being dramatic, or I'm allowed to have a life. I needed leverage. The universe delivered it a few weeks later, in the form of a text from my father-in-law. Lisa's father, Richard, is the kind of man who looks like he was born in a suit. Silver hair, perfect tie, calm voice that can cut you to pieces without ever rising. He runs the Carter Family Trust, capital letters always implied, old money, new investments, layers of financial structures and consultants. He'd always been polite to me, not warm, not cold, just evaluating. When we got engaged, he'd taken me aside. I don't expect you to be rich, he said. I expect you to be stable, reliable, the kind of man who doesn't gamble with what's important. At the time, he'd meant his daughter. Later, the important things grew. Children, assets, reputation. He liked control. He also liked me staying in my lane. I never touched trust stuff. I never asked for money. He liked that too. A month before my birthday, I made a quiet appointment with a divorce lawyer. I didn't commit to anything. I just wanted to know my options. What happens to the house? What happens to the kids? What happens when there's a trust hovering over everything like a silent thundercloud? The lawyer, a woman named Carla, listened, took notes, and then asked a pointed question. "Do you know how your wife's trust distributions work?" she asked. "No," I admitted. "I mean, I know there's a trust. I know Richard pays for the girls' school, helped with the house deposit, but I've never dug into it." "Do you have access?" she asked. "Any documents? Any emails?" "I can ask," I said. She shook her head immediately. "Don't," she said. "Not yet. If you alert them too early, they'll start moving things, hiding things, changing passwords. You need information without noise. Can you check your own email, your own name? See if you're listed on anything as a co-signer or beneficiary?" That night, I dug through my old inbox, contracts, insurance, mortgage documents, and then I found it. An email from 2 years ago with the subject line, Carter Subtrust 4, Documents for Signature. Attached, a PDF I'd never opened. I clicked it now. There I was, on the first page. Eric Jensen, co-trustee and guardian of Subtrust 4, for the benefit of minor children Lily and Emma Jensen. It stated that in the event of certain triggers, death, divorce, incapacity, I'd have partial control over distributions for the girls, education, health, welfare. I'd have to sign off on some decisions. So would Lisa, until conditions changed. "Did you sign this?" Carla asked when I showed her. "Yeah," I said. At the time, Lisa said it was just paperwork for Dad. I signed where she pointed. Carla's lips pressed together. "This can be used both for you and against you," she said. "Depends who moves first. Your father-in-law will see you as a potential threat to his control. Your wife might see it as leverage or as a problem." I felt like I'd stepped into a chessboard where pieces had been moving for years without me seeing them. Carla leaned back. "If you decide to file," she said, "we'll freeze what we can. We'll document everything. But if your wife has already been playing with funds, you need evidence. If you discover something, don't confront her directly. Come to me." Evidence. That word echoed in my head. Evidence of what? I found out on my birthday. At that table for 8. The day started normally enough. Well, for our new version of normal. Lisa didn't mention my birthday when we woke up. She just said, "Can you take Emma to school? I have an early meeting." I said, "Sure," even though I'd taken her 3 times that week and Lisa technically worked closer to the school. I waited for "Happy birthday, by the way." It didn't come. Later, at work, my colleagues gave me a cupcake and a card. Someone stuck a 39 and fine sticker on my laptop. I smiled, joked, pretended everything was okay. Around noon, I texted Lisa. Me, "Dinner at 7. Don't forget. Table for 8. Kids are excited," she replied fairly quickly. Lisa, "I have a migraine starting, but I'll try. If I can't, I'll send them with Megan." Hearts. Even the heart felt lazy. My sister texted around 2. "Megan, hey, I might be late tonight, car trouble, but I'll see what I can do." Mark sent me a short message. "Mark, sorry man, this weekend is chaos. Maybe we grab a beer next week instead?" Happy birthday though, I stared at the screen. There it was, the whole structure, lighting up with warning signs. Migraine, car trouble, busy weekend. If I hadn't seen those photos, those shared locations, those secret family nights without me, I might have believed them. Now I read them like code. They were all going somewhere. Together. Just not to my table. At 5:30, I checked the shared location app we all pretended we didn't know how to use. Lisa's dot was nowhere near the office. It hovered near that same address. The house. Megan's dot moved in that direction too. Mark's dot, after a slow path from his own house, joined them. I watched as my daughter's dots followed, leaving school, going to Grandma and Grandpa's first, then bouncing to that same address. By 6:30, all of them were there, gathered. The people I loved most in the world. Together. Celebrating something. Not my birthday. I could have driven there. I could have stormed in. Instead, I put on my best shirt, took a long look at myself in the mirror, and went to the restaurant I'd booked weeks ago. If they weren't going to show up for me, I was still going to show up for myself. At 7, I checked in with the hostess, smiled, said, "Jensen, table for 8, and sat down. The waiter poured water, asked if I wanted to start with a drink. "Beer is fine," I said. I checked my phone. "No, we're coming. No, so sorry, we're on our way." Just silence. Around 7:15, a waiter I hadn't seen before approached the table. Older, gray hair, calm eyes. "Excuse me," he said. "Are you Mr. Jensen?" "Yes," I said, sitting up a little. Someone had remembered. For half a second, I actually thought, maybe Lisa set up a surprise. Maybe... He held out a small, folded piece of paper. "A man at the bar asked me to give you this," he said. "He said it was urgent. He left right after." "A man?" I repeated. "What did he look like?" He shrugged. "Business type," he said. "Suit, glasses. I didn't recognize him." I thanked him and unfolded the note. 3 words, all caps. "Check your phone. Now." My stomach clenched. I picked up my phone. One new message. From Richard. "Richard, the trust attorneys just alerted me. Call me before you ruin this family's assets." I read it twice. "Before you ruin this family's assets." Of course, when I finally pushed back, finally took one step to protect myself, the first reaction would be to accuse me of being the problem. But something else bothered me more. The timing. He knew I was here. Someone had told him where I was sitting. Someone wanted me to see this at this exact moment. I took a breath and hit call. He picked up after the first ring. "What do you think you're doing?" he snapped, no greeting. "Apparently eating alone on my birthday," I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. "Good evening to you too." "This isn't the time for jokes," he said sharply. "The trust attorneys just called. They said there were multiple attempts to access your daughter's subtrust this week. Someone using your credentials, your digital signature, tried to schedule transfers to an account in your name. Then this morning, several joint accounts were frozen. You visited a lawyer without telling anyone. Do you have any idea how reckless that looks?" I blinked. "I froze my personal joint account with Lisa." I said slowly. The one at the regular bank. I didn't touch the trust. I wouldn't even know how. Don't lie to me, he said. Wendy sent me the logs. User ID E. Jensen. Same IP address as your house, same device as your laptop, transfers to E. Jensen, Lakeside Checking. The only reason the system flagged it is because the amounts escalated. What were you going to do, drain it and run? My head spun. I don't have any account called Lakeside Checking, I said. And I don't have a trust login. If someone's using E. Jensen, it's not me. So we're to believe that some mysterious hacker broke into your home Wi-Fi, used your laptop, your digital certificate, and created a bank account in your name, he replied coldly. Do you realize how that sounds? Yes, I said. It sounds ridiculous. That's why you should be asking who else has access to my devices and my personal information. Silence. He knew exactly who else had access. His daughter. You're coming to my office, he said finally. Now, we'll look at this together, and you will explain every single thing you've done this week. If you don't, I will assume the worst, and I will act accordingly. Do you understand me? I let my eyes rest on the 7 empty chairs around me. I understand, I said. I'll be there in half an hour. I hung up. The waiter approached tentatively. Is everything okay, sir? He asked. I looked up at him and actually laughed. Depends who you ask, I said. Can you bring me the bill? I have to go. He hesitated, eyes flicking to the empty seats. If your guests arrive later, should I? They won't, I said. If they do, you can tell them their ghost already left. He brought the bill. I paid for my beer and the untouched bread basket, left a generous tip for the awkwardness, and walked out. As I stepped into the cool night air, one thought kept repeating in my head. They wanted me alone tonight, not just emotionally, legally. Someone had been risking the trust's money while I sat at a restaurant waiting for people who were never going to come. Someone wanted my name on those transactions. Someone wanted me to look like the villain. By the time I reached Richard's office, I had a good guess who that someone was. His office was in a building that smelled like money. Marble floors, tall ceilings, soft lighting. The security guard recognized me and let me up without question. Richard's door was half open. He sat behind his desk, tie loosened but posture still perfect. A laptop open in front of him. Papers were spread out. Some had my name on them in bold. Sit, he said without looking up. I sat. He turned the laptop to face me. This is the audit log, he said. Every access attempt to Subtrust 4 in the past 6 months. Do you see that username? I leaned forward, line after line. User, E. Jensen. Action, login action, transfer request device, home laptop EJ. The dates were a parade of evenings when Lisa had been working late. Those are not my logins, I said quietly. The system says they are, he replied. Your certificate, your 2-factor code, your device ID. If it wasn't you, who was it? Who else knows my passwords? I asked. He frowned. I don't know, he said. You tell me. My wife, I said. Obviously, Lisa knows my passcode, my email, my social. She's filled out forms for me for years. She pays some of our bills online when I'm at work. She knows everything she'd need to pretend to be me. Richard's jaw tightened. Do you hear yourself? He asked. You're accusing my daughter of identity theft? I'm saying someone used my identity without my knowledge, I replied. And the only person with that level of access is the woman who's been lying to me about where she spends her nights. He narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? He asked, suspicion shifting. I exhaled slowly. They're all together right now, I said. Your daughter, my daughters, my sister, my former best friend, at a house you don't know about. I've seen the photos. I've seen the location history. I've read the texts. This isn't a theory, Richard. It's a fact. He stared at me. You've been sitting on this? he asked. For how long? Months, I said. And you didn't tell me. I gave a bitter smile. Would you have believed me? I asked. Or would you have told me I was stressed and should be careful not to ruin the family? He didn't answer. Instead, he clicked another tab. Security footage from a bank. He hit play. On the screen, I saw a familiar branch lobby. A woman stepped in, wearing a coat I recognized. She pulled her mask down as she approached the teller. Lisa. Behind her, a man, not Mark, someone else, one of those just colleagues from her office. My eyebrows rose. So that was a twist. I'd assumed it was Mark because of the picture. I'd been wrong. The affair was bigger than I thought. Richard paused the footage. That is my daughter, he said, standing in a bank branch where no one in this family has any reason to be. On the same day those first small transfers were made from the trust to Lakeside Checking. Do you know anything about this? No, I said honestly, but I'd like to. He clicked to another image. ATM stills. Lisa again. Same coat, same man, her phone in her hand. You see this? He said, pointing. She's getting the two-factor code. The bank already verified it was sent to a number registered to you, and a backup email. An email she set up using a plus alias with your name. He slid a printed email towards me. Security notification, he read. New login from device home laptop EJ. If this was not you, please contact us. Every time, the notifications went to an address controlled by her. I studied the paper. The pattern was obvious. Small amounts at first, 10,000, 15, then bigger ones, 50, 75. The last one, the one that triggered the alarm, was for 200,000. Why didn't the system flag it earlier? I asked. It did, he said, internally. But as long as amounts stayed below certain thresholds, it didn't reach me. The trust's risk department assumed it was an authorized co-trustee distributing funds for some reason. I only get notified when someone tries to siphon off a serious chunk. He paused. Today, he added. At what time? I asked. 1907, he replied. At 1907, I said slowly. I was getting dressed for my lonely birthday dinner. Lisa left with the girls around 6:30, supposedly to drop them at your place, before maybe joining me later. He rubbed his forehead. I checked, he said quietly. They never came to our house. Yeah, I replied softly. I know. He sat back, exhaling through his nose. Jesus, he muttered. My own daughter. In that moment, I saw something crack in him too. Not just anger. Shame. For a man like him, that was worse. I didn't ruin this family's assets, I said. He looked up. No, he agreed slowly. It appears you tried to protect them, by freezing the accounts you could control. He picked up his phone, hesitated briefly, then dialed. Where are they? I asked. At that house, he said. The one you've seen. How do you know? I asked. He put the phone on speaker. After a couple of rings, Linda, his wife, answered. Yes? She said. Where are you? He asked, skipping hello. At a friend's place, she said cautiously. Lisa wanted to host a little gathering. Is something wrong? Who's there? He demanded. Your daughter. The girls. Megan. Some of her colleagues. Why? Stay there, he said. Don't let anyone leave. We're coming. Richard, you're scaring me, she said. What's going? He hung up. Then he looked at me. Get in the car, he said. We're going to that party. I almost smiled. Happy birthday to me, I muttered. The house was smaller than I expected. Not a mansion. Just a comfortable, middle-class place in a neighborhood I rarely drove through. If you didn't know better, you'd think nothing interesting ever happened on that quiet street. There were several familiar cars outside. Megan's, Mark's, Lisa's. A couple I didn't recognize. We stood on the sidewalk for a moment. I should warn you, I said. They're going to spin this. Hard. I know, he replied. You've always believed her, I added, unable to help myself. He gave me a sharp look. Believing someone doesn't mean they never disappoint you, he said. Come on. We walked up to the door. Laughter drifted out. Music. My heart hammered. Richard rang the bell. The chatter dimmed. After a moment, the door opened. Megan stood there in jeans and a sweater, wine glass in hand. When she saw who it was, her face went sheet white. Dad? She stammered. Eric? What are you? Richard didn't wait for an invitation. He stepped past her. Inside, the living room was full. Lisa sat on the couch, one arm draped comfortably around Mark's shoulders. Our daughters sat on the rug, playing a board game with Linda. A couple of Lisa's co-workers hovered near the snack table. Everyone froze. You could feel the air suck out of the room. Dad? Lisa said, slowly getting to her feet. What are you doing here? He held up a piece of paper. Recognize this? He asked. Her eyes flicked to it and then away. I don't know what that is, she said too quickly. It's an audit log, he said, of every attempt to move money out of your daughter's trust, using your husband's name, from this house, with you on camera at the bank. Care to try that again? She laughed nervously. Dad, you're being dramatic, she said. We were just reorganizing some things. You've always said the money is for the girls. We just wanted to— You wanted to what? He cut in. Send it to an account your boyfriend could access? Disguise it so that if anything went wrong, Eric would look like the thief? Is that what you call reorganizing now? Everyone stared at her, even Mark. Wait, he said slowly. What's he talking about? Lisa shot him a venomous look. Stay out of this, she hissed. No, he said. I think I'm very much in this. He looked at me. How long have you known? He asked. About you screwing my wife? I replied. Months. About the trust? Just found out tonight. He went pale. Lisa, he said quietly, you told me this was all handled. You said, oh, shut up, she snapped. You enjoyed the hotels. Don't pretend you were some innocent bystander. Linda stood up from the rug, her face pale. Girls, she said softly to my daughters, why don't you go to the kitchen for a snack? Lily looked at me, eyes wide. Dad? She whispered. It's okay, I said gently. Go with Grandma. I'll come talk to you later. They went, reluctantly. As soon as they were out of earshot, Richard's entire posture changed. This stops now, he said, voice low and deadly. No more lies, no more games, no more using my grandchildren as props while you steal from their future. Steal? Lisa repeated, offended. It's my money, too. It is not, he snapped. That trust is not your personal escape fund. It is for them, and you tried to weaponize it against their father. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her eyes flashed with something ugly. Of course you take his side, she spat. You always liked him better. Stable Eric, reliable Eric, sensible Eric. You never cared if I was happy. You just wanted a son-in-law who wouldn't rock the boat. I wanted a son-in-law who wouldn't lie, he shot back. Turns out I got one. It just wasn't you. Megan finally spoke. Lisa, she whispered, looking between us. You told me he was gambling, that he was planning to clear the accounts and leave you with nothing. You said you were just protecting yourself. My stomach dropped. So that's what you told her, I said. That I was the one planning to steal. She flicked her hair back, chin up. Well, she said, if you're going to leave, why shouldn't I secure something for myself and the kids? It's not my fault Dad trusts you more than me. Leave? I repeated. I hadn't even filed yet. I was trying to figure out how to keep this from turning into a war. You loaded the cannons before I even picked up a sword, she sneered. Spare me the metaphors, she said. You're not some noble hero. You're just mad you didn't move fast enough. I'm not mad I didn't move fast enough, I said. I'm mad I ever believed we were on the same side. Her mouth twisted. Mark cleared his throat. Okay, This is insane, he said. I didn't sign up for whatever this is. I thought Lisa had everything under control with her dad's money. I didn't know she was using you as a shield. Oh, poor you, she snapped. The morally confused boyfriend. You could have said no at any time. And you could have not lied every time you opened your mouth, I added. Richard shook his head. Enough, he said. I'm calling Wendy. We're documenting this. Every word, every attempt, every lie. You're not actually going to press charges, Lisa scoffed. Be serious. I'm your daughter. He looked at her for a long, silent moment. Right now, he said, I'm the trustee, and you're a liability. Things moved very fast after that. Lawyers, meetings, documents. Carla and Wendy coordinated. Richard removed Lisa as co-trustee the next day. He filed an internal fraud report, naming her as the party that initiated unauthorized transfer attempts. The bank froze the Lakeside checking account and started their own investigation. Lisa tried to spin it as just testing the system. It was a mistake, she said in one meeting, tears in her eyes. We were under so much stress. Eric was distant, and I thought he was going to leave, and I panicked. Carla slid printouts across the table. Is this you? She asked calmly, tapping one of the bank stills. Standing next to your coworker while he helps you move money? Is this you, texting him that, if anything goes wrong, we'll blame Eric because it's his certificate? Lisa's face drained. She'd forgotten that nothing ever truly deletes in the cloud. The group chat she thought she'd archived, the messages she thought she'd erased, Carla had restored them from a backup she never imagined I knew about. There it was, her writing. Lisa. Worst case, we say he did it. He's the one with access. Dad trusts him. They'll believe it. Coworker. Are you sure? That seems harsh. Lisa. He'll be fine. He always lands on his feet. I'm the one who deserves a fresh start. Even Richard had to look away at that. He'd always been strict. Now I saw what happened when his strictness collided with betrayal. He didn't shout, he didn't call her names, he just closed a door. From this point on, he said in a quiet, final voice, you are not to touch any accounts with my name on them. Not with your own access, not using anyone else's. If I find out you've tried, I will press charges, I will testify, and I will not lie to protect you. Lisa stared at him as if she'd never seen him before. You'd do that to your own daughter? She whispered. He nodded. I'd do that to anyone who threatens my grandchildren's future, he replied, including you. Divorce, for anyone who hasn't gone through it, is not dramatic every day. Most of the time it's paperwork, deadlines, emails, numbers, who gets the house, who gets the car, who gets which weekends. There were dramatic days, sure. The first hearing, when Lisa's lawyer tried to argue that I was emotionally unstable and financially irresponsible. Carla calmly produced evidence showing the exact opposite. My steady job, my clean credit. The fact that I'd frozen accounts to protect, not exploit. And then, of course, the trust logs. The respondent initiated multiple attempts to divert funds using the petitioner's identity, Carla said. She involved a third party. She attempted to frame him. This goes beyond a strained marriage. This is a pattern of manipulation and deceit. Lisa's lawyer tried to counter. He visited a divorce lawyer without informing her, he said. He froze joint accounts in the middle of an argument. Carla nodded. Yes, she said. He sought legal advice and protected his assets. That's called being prudent, not criminal. The judge, a woman in her 50s with tired eyes and no patience for theatrics, took it all in. The cheating is ugly, she said at one point, almost as an aside. The financial misconduct is worse. Mrs. Jensen, do you understand that if your father had not intervened, you could be facing criminal charges right now? Lisa sniffled. I was scared, she said. He was leaving. I had to secure something for me and my daughters. And you believed the best way to do that was to impersonate him and empty a trust created specifically for those daughters? The judge asked. Do you hear how that sounds? Lisa cried. She cried a lot in those months. She cried to her parents. She cried to Megan. She cried to our daughters. Sometimes I wondered if any of the tears were for me, or if it was all for herself. In the end, the judge granted us joint legal custody, but gave me primary physical custody. In plain language, Carla explained to me afterward, it means you're the parent the court sees as more stable day to day. She still has rights, she still sees them, but if there's a conflict, your decision carries more weight. Lisa didn't take that well. You turned my own father against me, she spat at me in a hallway once. You ruined everything. No, I said calmly. You did. She rolled her eyes. Keep telling yourself that, she said. You're good at playing the victim. Old me would have taken the bait. New me just walked away. The plot twist I hadn't expected came a few months later. I was going through some boxes in the garage, trying to figure out what to keep and what to donate, when I found a thick envelope with my name on it, in Richard's handwriting. I opened it, half expecting more trust documents. Inside was a letter, handwritten, not typed. Eric, it began. I sat on an overturned crate and read. He wrote about the first time he'd met me, how he'd thought I was boringly reliable, how he'd actually liked that. He wrote about his own father, a charming gambler who had blown through family money 3 times before finally drinking himself into oblivion. I overcorrected, he admitted. I became obsessed with control. I watched every penny. I distrusted everyone. When Lisa was born, I swore I'd never let a man like my father near her life. He wrote that, when we got engaged, he'd looked for flaws, waiting for me to mess up, waiting for proof that I was just like the others. And you never gave it, he wrote. You went to work. You came home. You loved my daughter. You doted on your children. You took less than your share and gave more than you should have. I saw it. I just didn't say it. He admitted that when the first trust alert came in, his instinct had been to blame me. It was easier, he wrote, to imagine you betraying us than to imagine my own daughter doing something so calculated. Then he wrote the line that stuck with me most. You turned out to be the only one at that table who never lied to me. He closed with a strange kind of blessing. If you ever decide to marry again, he wrote, I hope you pick someone who deserves the version of you my daughter wasted. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so I did both. Weeks later, I went back to the restaurant, not on my birthday, just on a random Friday when the girls were with me, and asked if we could go somewhere fancy. We walked in, and the same hostess from a year ago looked up. Her eyes widened. Oh, she said, you were here last year, right? Big table, and, yeah, I said, smiling. That was me, the guy with the invisible friends. She laughed nervously. I'm so glad you came back, she said. How many tonight? 3, I said. Just me and my daughters. Lily nudged me. Can we sit by the window? She whispered. We'll see what they have, I said. The hostess found us a table by the glass where we could see the street and the lights. The waiter poured water. I remember you too, he said quietly when the girls were distracted by the menu. Last year, I felt really bad for you. I smiled. Honestly, I said, I feel bad for that guy too. He glanced at the girls. Looks like things are better now, he said. I looked at them. At Lily, now carefully reading every item like a food critic. At Emma, coloring in the little chef on the kids' menu. Much better, I said. Halfway through the meal, my phone buzzed. A message from Richard. Richard, I heard you took the girls to that restaurant again. Good. They liked the lava cake. Send me a picture. I snapped a photo of them smiling, chocolate on their faces. Sent it. He replied with a simple, Richard. You did the right thing, you know. I put my phone down and looked at my daughters. Dad? Emma asked, mouth full. Are we going to do this every year? What, cake? I asked. Absolutely. No, she said, rolling her eyes. I mean, come here, just us, like a tradition. I thought about my 39th birthday, about the empty chairs, about the note telling me to check your phone now so I could be accused of something I hadn't done. I thought about this night, this table, these two small humans who'd survived the same storm as me. Yeah, I said. I think we are. Lily raised her glass of soda. To Dad, she said. To not ruining the family's money, Emma added, grinning. I laughed. Who told you that? I asked. Grandpa, Lily said. He told Aunt Megan that, for all the chaos, Eric didn't ruin anything. He stopped it. I swallowed past the lump in my throat. Well, I said, lifting my own glass. To us, then. For stopping things that needed to stop. We clinked our glasses together. The waiter walked by, caught my eye, and smiled. Glad to see your table finally full, sir, he said. I looked at my girls, at the messy plates, at the laughter, at the space where lies used to sit. Me too, I replied. For the first time in a long time, it felt like it was my birthday. Not the day on the calendar. The feeling of starting over.